Wait, but there is something I do want to cover real quick. Yes, cryptocurrency. Yes. It is one of my biggest passions.
The first disclaimer is this podcast is not yet sponsored by any particular cryptocurrency.
Well, cryptocurrency you can't be sponsored by.
What I'm saying is that no one is giving us cryptocurrency to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
But I got to say that beforehand because you're about to get on your.
Well, yeah, because I really want to. Well, you have to think of it as actual money. It's not an entity to sponsor anybody.
I guess that, but meaning no one is giving us cryptocurrency.
Oh yeah. To talk about this. Yes. It's
and also, this is not investment professional advice. You should really see your financial advisor and speak to an attorney. This is not that whole shebang.
Yeah. I am someone who loves digital currency for a multitude of reasons. One of the biggest things that happened in 2011, which garnered a lot of attention for Bitcoin, was when the Cyprus banks started not allowing their citizens to actually take money out. So then there was this quick and there became this very overwhelming notification that we now don't really control our money as much as we think we do. Because anytime a bank says you no longer have access to your money, how do you get to it? It's just, no, you don't have it. So that's when Bitcoin at the time was, I think, around $32, $31 and shot up to about $200 per Bitcoin. Okay. That's its value just increased because then we became aware of the idea that you want to have control over your money. So what Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general is a store of value, or it can be used as a store of value, where you buy these coins and based on how much people think they're worth, you can trade them for goods and services. So it's a way for you to have control over your money without a third party, without there being any centralization. There's obviously some problems to that as far as theft, because if someone steals it from, let's say, an exchange, then you're kind of shit out of luck because it's just gone.
Yeah.
Because
it doesn't belong in any place.
Yes.
Okay.
But I mean, to me, people who do that are ridiculous because you can set up cold storages with the hard drives or on flash drives and put them in safety deposit banks, so you don't have to really worry.
Okay, but you're getting a little didactic here. Why is cryptocurrency so close to your heart? Why is it that you feel so passionate about it?
It's financial freedom in a way that I've never seen before.
Okay,
and meaning that it's not dependent on regulatory systems that can easily disrupt the market.
Why is that a good thing?
Because you don't want there to be a loss of value in what you have based on somebody else's bets. Because that's essentially a big part of what happened in the 2008 crash, is that a lot of people were making bets with other people's money. They were doing all this risky shit they wouldn't do if it was just their money.
But the value of the cryptocurrency still exists within a market of sorts, so it still has some fluctuation that's going to be related to other people's activities.
Yeah, well,
because you can't completely escape that.
Because we're at the beginning stages of something. This isn't something that is as well established as other markets or other currency trading. It's essentially 5 years old? I mean, and for where it's at 5 years old, you got to remember it. When it first, it hurts me to even say this, when it first started out, when I could have gotten involved, it was about half a penny per Bitcoin. The value as of this morning, I think, is around $591 per Bitcoin. So it's gone up because there's enough confidence in it that it cannot be stolen or replicated. You can't print more. That's another great thing about this too, is that you can't dilute the market or create all this debt based on something that doesn't exist. It's hard. It's there. And the great thing about it is portability, because you can trade Bitcoin with your phone, you can trade it with your tablet, whatever technology you might have.
Okay.
And that goes for other cryptocurrencies. One that I really enjoy very much is Dogecoin. Dogecoin, where it separates itself from Bitcoin, is that it's community based. It still operates with the same technology.
Yeah, it seems to be more of a community thing than as opposed to just the pure economics of having a separate financial.
And
currency.
it attracts people who have more of a charitable, lighthearted idea about currency overall. And the barrier
You got
to
a Shiba Inu on your coin.
exactly, yeah.
Of course they're lighthearted.
And the barrier to entry is what really attracts me to it, because the thing about Bitcoin is if you didn't get in early, there really isn't a big ROI for you. As far as like, it more serves one as a store of value. So if you have like, a few $1,000s that you want to put someplace that's a little bit safer than a bank as far as value going up and down, where you can actually make some money off of it, Bitcoin is actually pretty good for that.
Okay. But I do want to let you keep talking about Dogecoin as well, but just keeping in like the general cryptocurrency argument, I want to go back to what you're talking about with respect to insulating yourself. I understand with respect to control, as opposed to having a situation where there's this third party that can say, oh, the bank is closed.
Right.
No money.
Right.
So I get that aspect of it. I'm curious, and I want to press you some more on this idea of being insulated from fluctuations that are related to activities of a third party with respect to this currency.
Right.
Because even if you say whether it's Bitcoin, it's being used as an investment vehicle, a safer investment vehicle, right? Along the lines of like bonds, perhaps.
Right.
Or if you're even talking about Dogecoin, where, your investment in Dogecoin is predicated upon the expectation that it's going to fluctuate through the roof.
Well, not necessarily.
Right?
No, my expectation with Dogecoin is not so much that it's going to fluctuate through the roof as much as it's going to gain wider adoption. Meaning, like, I like, not only like I'm expecting there or hoping for a little bit more value.
Okay.
It's more about what it represents. That's what, because there's a lot of other coins I can get into, like, dark coins, like, it's been a really good investment vehicle, black coin, Vertcoin. Like, there's all these, there's a slew of coins that have been like,
But when you say what it represents, you mean the fact that as opposed to Bitcoin, which is viewed as like, instead of buying stocks, you might buy Bitcoin.
Right.
Dogecoin being, instead of paying for your coffee with US dollars, you might pay for your coffee with Bitcoin.
Or with Dogecoin.
Dogecoin,
yes,
sorry.
and more importantly, too, people don't hoard them like they do Bitcoin. That's the problem. I think that's why I look at it as more of a store, like gold or silver. It's more of a store, more so than an actual currency.
Okay.
Because people don't use it.
So talk a bit more then about how Dogecoin is being used and why you think that that's like the future of currency.
Well, the greatest thing I love about it is it's used for tipping, which like ties really back into our whole thing about government basic income and like the disruption that's going to come with technology, is that people are being paid like through tipping for their ideas. Like, so let's say you say something really cool on Facebook. I can tip you a certain amount of Dogecoin, and I'm giving you money based on your thoughts and ideas. Okay. That's the way for you to make money. So, and you can in turn use that Dogecoin to purchase other things. You can purchase certain goods through a slew of like websites like suchlist.com or Dogecoin.com. Like there's a lot of different places that you can find places where you can purchase things that you use on an everyday basis. And there's even like businesses that accept it as like a currency for like food or for whatever service they provide there. So I just like the idea that based on thoughts, nothing anymore, like nothing like you don't have to go out into a field and hoe anything, or you just based on what you're thinking or based on conversation, you can make money that way.
Okay.
And I love the idea of that. And it's really internet-based type of currency opposed to these other cryptocurrencies that aren't really, they're called currencies, but they're just more stores of values because they're just not really being used like that. If you actually look at Dogecoin, it generates around like, at a point, it was actually generating around $22 million in transactions by just micro tipping. Because I think like right now, 1,000 Dogecoin is only worth $3.50.
Okay.
But you have it being used so rapidly.
So then, what is your expectation when you say with respect to wide adoption? Like, are you envisioning like actually, like right now I understand the low barriers to entry, but you do have the barrier to entry with respect to first knowing about it, right. Second, understanding how it works and what we're even talking about, right. Third, it actually being something that is tangibly applicable and usable within your daily existence, which, if right now we're talking about websites in certain places and confines, as opposed to bringing it into like the real transactional world.
Like it can go side by side. That's why I like the way it can actually exist side by. It's not a replacement currency for what we actually use now, like with dollars or euros. It's more of a side by side type of thing. And the most important thing that I think that's really understated, and I should have mentioned this earlier, is low transaction fees. like opposed to like, what you pay for like credit cards and debit cards, where you're paying anywhere between 3 to 5% depending on who you're using, or even just like, maintenance fees, just even having an account.
Okay.
You pay nothing or close to like 0.01% for transaction fees for actually using cryptocurrency like Dogecoin, which actually gets used as a currency. So that is like, to me, one of the main selling points is that you save a lot more by
Like
actually
who is actually benefiting from this?
consumers and merchants, because you don't have to pay a third party.
No, sorry. I didn't mean with respect to just that exact item you just discussed. Meaning, like, who are the actual viewed like beneficiaries of using cryptocurrency? Like,
Can you elaborate a little?
Okay, like, is it for whom is it actually accessible and usable, and in a way that would incite you to actually shift some of your spending habits from dollars to cryptocurrency? Like, what demographic is actually
People who
involved in this?
heavily use the internet, people who use it on a regular basis. Like, I think it's beneficial to people who spend a lot of time doing social networking. Again, it's a really great way to say that you appreciate somebody and their thoughts. And you can give them like, 50 Dogecoin or 100 Dogecoin, which isn't really a lot, isn't really a lot of money. Even if it goes to like, what some people consider to be like the height of what they hope, it's like, a penny per Doge. You give $1 to somebody that you think said something that you really liked, or 50 cents.
Okay.
And you can do it quickly and easily, and you can do it via the internet. So if someone in Guam has this like, really cool idea, or someone even wants to sell their art, that's another thing I love. Like, a lot of people who sell digital art or even music, a lot of musicians are getting into this, which I think is really cool, because like a lot of them are having a hard time making money the conventional way, like with CDs or even buying MP3s. It's very easy for someone to say, all right, I'm not like, I heard what you have, I can easily download this for free somewhere else.
Yeah.
But because I like it, I'm going to tip you 50 cents because this is awesome.
So I see obvious like implications of this, to tie it over into something else we've discussed, is a way in which you could kind of take the Facebook like, which is incredibly passive and meaningless.
Yes.
And
yes,
do something meaningful with it, where, you put up your photography thing that you've been doing, or like a track you made, you put it on SoundCloud and post it on Facebook. And rather than just garnering your 50 likes from your friends, you're getting like little bits of Dogecoin. Or, if it's, hey, this issue of this thing that's happening, abroad, or this race in, some Senate race in Connecticut or whatever, and whatever that issue is, instead of just liking or agreeing with this view that you have, but like actually a Dogecoin tip that goes towards that, person you hear about. Like, is that like that? Yeah, that sounds like that would be.
And the really cool thing about that, in respects to like, donating to certain political campaigns or things that you really believe in, is that you develop an anonymity, because it's tied to unidentified wallet. Like, that just has an address. So you're not tied, and you don't have to give out because that's one thing that I really despise, is having to give out information every time I want to buy something online. I hate having to give my credit card, my whole name, my address, like all these things that people like we've just become used to. But it's like, think about
that are used for mining and then sold for data.
It's like it's like, think about 10 years or 15 years ago. If you went into a store and they asked you for your address, they asked you for like all this information.
Yeah, you would say no. I'm just buying a T-shirt.
Yeah, what the fuck do you need all this information for? No, thank you. I'm leaving. I'm not gonna deal with that. So it brings us back to a certain amount of anonymity. But on the flip side, there is a digital wallet. There's a digital wallet, so there's a virtual store, a ledger that shows your transactions. So if you're actually doing business with someone, like in respect to, let's say, like, we're starting a business together and you want to make sure that I have the capital that I say that I have, there's a public ledger that you can see all my transactions. You can see where they went and all that other stuff if I give you the address, and then you can see.
Okay.
So there's transparency, and there's also anonymity, which is unheard of in banking right now.
That's interesting. No, you definitely hit some points there particularly with the privacy aspect of it, as far as like transactional ease. I mean, even it's crazy how it's I was walking down the street the other day, and I passed like a chick in a ACLU shirt, and then I walk a little bit further, and there's a guy, and he says, "Hey, do you have 2 minutes to support marriage equality?" And, I was just strolling. So I was like, oh, I got a minute. And he's like, I was like, oh, is this like a petition or something? And he's like, yeah. He's like, can I like do my spiel though? And I was like, are you going to like ask for like money at the end? And he was like, oh, like a credit card info. And I was like,
What?
I'm not just going to give my credit card info to some dude on the street with a clipboard. And he's like, I was like, but I support the cause though. And he was like, oh, okay, I understand that. And I kept going.
If he had a digital wallet, you could, and like I'm giving you Dogecoin, you can just scan the the QR code and just send whatever amount of money that you think is fair that you want to send to this thing.
Although I still might have been like, you could have just put on a t-shirt and walked out here with a clipboard.
and the great thing about that, give me the website, let me do some research, and then I can. You can easily send.
But it's funny because then you stop and think, and it's like, but if I were like online making a donation to ACLU and they ask for all of this stuff, like I'd be like, yeah, I'm making this donation to ACLU. Here's all of my information.
And it's crazy that you give
and
that
then
out.
the conversations about how people are up in arms about what information the NSA has on us, which is of course everything. And more than things you don't even know about yourself. They know
what type of toilet paper I use. They know everything.
Everything. And then and it's funny because there's this like resistance to that.
Right.
But like when Google is like, hey, in order to improve this voice functionality on your phone, we need all your friends. I'm like, yeah, boy.
And it's just like,
be my guest.
Yeah, and it becomes this thing where I don't believe in this idea of having all your activities tracked in that way. It just doesn't. I don't see how that works for your average consumer. So this is just a way to gain back some of your privacy.
It's something that works for companies,
right?
Because then you have something valuable that you can sell to other companies,
right?
Even if you make some of it anonymous.
So like in closing, I just want to make sure that this is understood: privacy aspect of it, transaction cost of it, and also, I just feel like this is where we're going. It just is very obvious to me that digital currency, whether it be Bitcoin, whether it be Dogecoin, whatever ends up being the name that ends up being used.
Well, we'll have to table this for future conversation, and we'll talk about maybe Dogecoin and cryptocurrency might be the solution to some of your financial dating woes. Who even knows?
Yeah.
We'll have to explore that down the line. So.
Quick big shout out to Factory Underground for recording this for us.
Oh yes, Factory Underground is the actual place to be.
Yes.
Incredible quality, incredible people.
FactoryUnderground.com. Love this.